Hey guys, it's Will. We're going to be looking at the quantum market, and we recently reopened access to Stockmate, but just for a limited time. If you guys want to watch me trade live tomorrow, where I'm calling my entries and my exits in real time every morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, it's that second link in the description. You can see everything I'm doing live in the second link in the description to get up before the market even wakes up. So let's take a look here. We're diving into IonQ. We got Rigetti, we got D-Wave, we even got Sealsq there. And I'm looking at some of the PE ratios. I'm actually really curious to know, why are these companies getting momentum, and why do we think quantum has any of the conversation as of recently? Well, there's a couple reasons. And one of the things I want you guys to realize is that when we're identifying these companies, we're looking for a couple things. Number one, the market. The quantum market is getting some momentum, and I got the sun in my eyes. That's why I'm wearing some glasses. So, um, I don't know. Maybe I need some blinds here. But essentially, if we search quantum initiative, this recently got passed. Some stimulus for the quantum market, $2.7 billion dollars. Is it 10 billion? No, but it's still 2.7 billion. And what companies stand to benefit? Talking about IonQ. There's also Rigetti in the conversation. You can see IonQ specifically in the conversation here. And that actually really tied nicely into a slight recovery for some of these companies. And you start to see a lot of them consolidating left to right. Take a look at Rigetti stock. This is a quantum computing company based out of California, and they were at $1 a share just a few months ago. They shot up to $21, sold down, and now look at this, consolidating from left to right. We've called out this level quite a few times where they've gotten rejected, and they recently did get a little rejected. However, they are above that 200-day moving average, and they're trying to make a run from this level, this $6.50 range, up to this resistance at about $11, which for Rigetti in the near term would be kind of tough, but would be really, really good for the quantum market. You got Rigetti there, and we'll talk short term, we'll talk long term. What we wanted to review today in the markets is just a slight, tiny little sell off after hours. Through the day, we saw some green the past few days. Take a look at QBTS here. You can see as well, kind of holding this trend, this uptrend on QBTS, overall uptrend. When you take a look at, for example, Google did bounce a little bit the past few days, and Microsoft as well, like most of the market. But when you take a look at quantum from top down, let's take a look at the markets growing. There's more money being invested. You have announcements from Microsoft, more announcements from Google, and announcements from Amazon that they're all creating their own quantum chips. So keep that in mind. I got to meet the CEO of this company, QBTS. I really do like the Rigetti CEO as well. Although Rigetti talks more technically, while QBTS talks a lot more valuable info about the marketing and the sales. It comes to be more persuasive from QBTS. And we're seeing a lot of these quantum companies recently start to recover. So I'm going to break down each one of them in detail. So again, the market's looking like they're getting continued investments. Contracts aren't really slowing too much on the quantum market. And the first one I want to jump into on a near term here is IonQ. We can go at Rigetti, we can go at QBTS in a second. But IonQ, it's been consolidating from left to right. We saw this trend maybe start to develop, and then it just dragged itself out, and now it's starting to go here. You got this previous resistance right there, previous resistance here, and maybe, it's overextended. It's possible. We see it sell down to this $18 range. But one thing to consider before we say that it's bearish, it is starting to push up above this green line, this 200-day moving average. So there's three things that I like to look at, whether it's the PE ratios or, the actual financials. That's the first thing. The second thing is the chart. How's the chart look? And the third thing is the profit plan. So first things first, with IonQ, we'll finish a little bit with the profit plan and the chart. But when you take a look at IonQ from a perspective of, let me pull this up. I can't even see. It's so bright. My gosh. Can't even see, guys. From a news perspective, you take a look at their recent bill that got passed. It's a $2.7 billion bill that they're set to get a large portion of. Exactly how much is yet to be determined. But when you take a look at IonQ, you see they have the contracts with a lot of companies. They are partnered with NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, Air Force Research Laboratory, Lockheed Martin. They're right there with some of the most cutting edge innovators in the world. A couple things to consider. Market cap's at $6 billion, so they're up there. Their revenue has been getting beat. So revenue, if you go quarter over quarter, you do see a slight increase up to about 90% year over year, increasing revenue. That's a big number. The net income is still down quite a bit, as you can see. So it's not really, I don't think, just looking at it from a perspective of their net income and their revenue, which is, like how much profit are they bringing in? Their profit margins have gone down 151%. So they're not really bringing in money commercially. Almost all the money that they bring in is based on research. And that's good because it means they're going to continue to get money. But from a perspective of investing in quantum, a lot of times I'm asking myself with any investment, is this being used? That's the first thing. You look at the market growth, you look at the numbers. But then the second thing you're asking about market is it actually being used? Do people use it? Are companies buying it? Are customers wanting to, like, take Apple, iPhone? You could look around and see people using iPhones and say, yeah, I like it. It's a good investment. Or Amazon, you see all the Amazon packages. You could look around and say, yeah, it's a good investment. And that's a type of energy I'd like to see with quantum. They have the quantum cloud for developing. If you go to AWS, you can hook in with IonQ. And you can also use not just IonQ or AWS, but they got Microsoft and Google. How much usage is being seen on AWS and IonQ through the cloud? It hasn't really been determined. We haven't seen big revenue numbers come from this. We haven't seen any big, maybe buying interest from AWS or Microsoft or Google, which is what would be a good indication that they're doing some things right. So I don't know that IonQ is the number one for me. When we were looking at the difference between a company that's really using real world technology versus just a company that's more in research, this company is much more in research than they are in actual commercial applicability. And one thing to note, we like to see this because it's great, and we know that there's been some examples of quantum computers making big breakthroughs in science and tech. And they talk about the quantum machine learning here. You can see they talk about direct carbon sequestration, so pulling CO2 from the air, which is pretty impressive. Battery materials. And when you look at it, and I think they have drug discovery. Is that the next one? Let's see. Drug discovery. All the wording is, we could help revolutionize. So look at the wording. Quantum machine learning. We could begin making smarter robots. Do you hear the we could begin? We could help pull CO2 from the air. Do you see the language that they're using? We could help extend. We could help extend the usefulness of electric field. Do you guys see that language? So why that's important to notice is, yes, they're getting some more influx of cash. Yes, they have these partnerships where they're starting to see maybe some usage. But when it comes down to the real world investments of putting your money in the best place, IonQ, it's a little on the overbought side on this chart. It's up towards the top around $27, $28. Yeah, it's holding above the 200-day moving average just a little bit. It's looking more on the overbought side, and the sell down to $18 could happen here. I mean, look at that. That wouldn't be out of question. And not to mention the earnings. I mean, they recently had quarter three that's like negative 52 million, and I was like, okay, it's not too bad. It's negative 17% year over year. It's not too bad. Net profit margins, they're up 42% year over year. I'm okay with it. This is how we were talking back in December and January. But then they dropped their earnings in February, and they have a net income of negative 200 million and their net profit margins of negative 1,700%. And now I'm saying, oh man, now it's negative 151% net profit margin increase year over year. That is not good. And that is the decrease that you got to watch. And personally, I'm not going to be investing in it long term right now. Will we have maybe a small portion of our portfolio for some potential explosive growth? Yes. Will I be trading it and investing it very long? No, after these recent earnings, it shook me a little bit. Not going to lie. But on top of that, it's the analyzation of real world quantum, meaning it's being used right now. I mean, I could go to a business and say it's being plugged in versus we could plug into businesses and we could see improvements. I love it. I love it. I'm optimistic, and I will continue to have small positions here and there of IonQ, most likely some that I'm holding long term, but maybe a little bit that we trade here and there on the swings. But I'm not having it as my top quantum company. So that's where it's at right now. Could that change? Absolutely, it could change. But that's where we're at right now. Now, when it comes down to Rigetti, Rigetti is the next one I want to take a look at. Rigetti is a little less overbought. You can see it's swung between this $6.50 range and that $12 range that we pointed out earlier. And you start to see it maybe make this run up to $11 or $12. When we search Rigetti and we take a look at their financials, they're a smaller market cap, about 2.5 billion, so about 1/3 of that of IonQ, a little bit less than half. And their revenue kind of did the same thing, right? They quarter over quarter, it was looking green, it was holding green, it's getting better. And then December 2024, you see the revenue drop negative 152 million in that quarter. In one quarter, they went negative 152 million. The net profit margins, negative 6,700%. I mean, yeah, you want to invest in what could be, and that's definitely something we're watching. But when it comes down to the financials there, in that last quarter alone, it's not looking too pretty. And that's why we have it maybe not at number one. Outside of that, I really, really, really like their tech, though. So when we take a look at their recent partnerships, some of their announcements, there's a lot of hype articles. There's some people saying it's a no-brainer, buy this now. But when you take a look at the hard facts of their company too, they have been selling a lot of quantum computers, and they've been deploying them out to different research centers. They've been improving their 2-qubit gates, so they've been becoming better at error correction, which means figuring out how they can run computations with their quantum computer and then be able to actually see where they go wrong or correct different errors. Before that, it's just kind of you run a bunch of problems, you run a bunch of data, and it spits out an answer. Now they're kind of getting to a point where they can, I don't want to say prompt engineer, but they can actually kind of correct the way that the quantum computer is functioning, and they get more control. And when you're talking about down to an ionic level or the QPU here, it comes down from the machine. You got the signal chains. There's these at the lowest, coldest plate, they use extremely cold mixing chambers here, temperature stages that plunge to 1/100th of a Kelvin, so hundreds of times as cold as outer space. So like when you look at the temperature and stuff like that, obviously, they're doing something that they have to put that in because of the sheer amount of power that this thing's putting out. So there's a lot of potential for, if they're able to solve problems with it consistently and their research starts to find more commercial usage, that the numbers and the money that they make could move extremely quickly. But again, you got to talk a little bit more in the research. You see AWS, you can use the quantum computers. I've heard there's a lot of downtime recently. NASA, they've got the partnerships there. So you got MIT and whatnot. So you see that, but at the same time, you got to see commercialization. You got to see, if we're an investing company, we're investing in them, we're looking for how they're actually making money. And that's what we haven't really seen too much. There's the ordering online of the QPU, but it's not really enough to, that we've seen, shift their profit margins positive. So when it comes down to the chart, again, they're at this level where they could get rejected around 975. If they break up above 975, it does look promising to see it shoot up to this $12 range. But potentially when it comes down to this move here, I think it might be more likely that we see it continue to get a little bit rejected there. We'll see how it holds. It is above the 200-day moving average, so a little more bullish. RSI MACD maybe on the buy side, but still does get rejected quite a few times at this $9.60 range. And that's kind of, where it recently got rejected. So we'll see if it holds. The next one on our list here that I really wanted to talk about with you guys was D-Wave. D-Wave is going to be, I would say, the most commercial. It already is the most commercial quantum company. So if we pull it up, it's up about 0.5% today. Take a look at the overall trend, right? The trend is a different feeling because it's not really left to right. It's not really fizzling out. In fact, they're the only quantum company that made a full recovery up to previous highs since the quantum crash back here. So quantum crash happened, all the companies consolidated. If you take a look at Rigetti, it never recovered. You take a look at IonQ here, it never recovered. But when we take a look over here on QBTS, it did recover all the way to previous highs and higher before pulling back. And now we see it kind of having this uptrend. Now, the trend that it's doing right now actually is pretty promising. It looks like it might be making this recovery. It's about a 40% swing. If it continues back up to $10, it's at $7 right now. And I like this one. It's more bullish. RSI MACD a little bit on the buy after the recent sell-off in the past 2 days, but it was up after hours today. And then you see it's that 200-day moving average sweeping in, and it's bouncing a little bit of validation on that previous rising support there that we do see it validate. So I think there's more potential with QBTS. One thing to consider, QBTS stock. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they saw the net income dip there, but it wasn't as much as other companies. Was it still substantial? Yeah, it's negative 86 million. But go quarter over quarter, you see revenue, 2 million, 2 million, 1 million, 2 million. It's kind of holding right around 2 million a quarter. So revenue holding steady. Net income was up and it was holding true, but then went down. So again, some momentum killed a little bit in the last quarter. And so we'll see if they don't get this recovery, we could see them retest down to this previous support or even sell down further. But the earnings and the contract seem to be consistent. The only thing was they, just like the other quantum companies, had more of a sell-off in their net income as of recently. So that's what you see there with QBTS. Now, D-Wave is going to be a focus for the next few weeks for sure, as it's started to potentially make this recovery, but it's still in a place where you could see some resistance, and I would expect maybe right here that it could get rejected, as it has been rejected a few times around that $8 range. So that's $7 now. Let's see if it pushes up tomorrow or how it reacts, and we'll be watching to see what happens in quantum. The other one that I wanted to touch on really quick was LAES. This is a quantum security company. This one looks more like a pump and dump, if I'm going to be honest. We saw it go from 25 cents up to $11, sell all the way down to $2.50. A lot of people said, Will, check this out. Will, check this out. Here's what we're starting to see though. It's not really, I mean, it's selling off. There's no doubt about it. The trend here is like this. That is the trend. Love it or hate it. There was a big pump where it shot up to $11 and now it's here. You might say, Will, why are you covering it? It looks like it's just a downtrend. Well, one thing to note, it is consistent, which we like. We like consistency in either direction. But the other thing that you might consider, let's take a look at their financials. And this is where I think last time I stayed away from it, actually. Yeah, so there's financials, the revenue, 2 million, 2 million, 3 million. Net income holding negative and not improving quarter over quarter. Net profit margins really not moving. And then we took a look at, let's see, what was the LAES? It's Sealsq, if I'm not mistaken. So we take a look at their homepage here. Semiconductors and quantum security solutions. So they examined the interaction between quantum computing and semiconductors to develop the next generation of quantum resistant, secure microcontrollers and related trust services. Looks like they're working with Internet of Things and multiple maybe government contracts. That's how it identifies just from the page. Cisco, Siemens says they trust us. Global leader in digital security. As far as partnerships go, we don't see anything that really. Oh, here's the government's contract. Semiconductor exemption ensures continuity, bolstered by company's innovation, U.S. development roadmap. So they're saying, hey, quantum computers or quantum tech, semiconductors are not going to see as big of a hit as a result of the recent tariff relief on computers and semiconductors. Apparently, they're at the Space Symposium. I was here. I didn't see them. I think I did see them, actually. I actually think I did see them. So that's interesting. I got my Space Symposium pass right here. Got it for free. $3,200 value for free. Thanks for subscribing, guys, to the channel. So maybe I need to do some more research. I don't want to be here. You guys see me going on the website, not really knowing a lot about the company, searching through the websites. I mean, anybody could do that, right? I will say the financials didn't look so favorable. When it comes to the chart, it is in a downtrend. Maybe it pulls up to that 320, but overall downtrend. It did just recently break above that 200-day moving average, so it's possible we see it shoot to that 320. But again, overall direction's down. I probably would not touch it at this moment, and I don't know enough about it. But if you guys have anything to add on that one, do drop it below. When it comes to the quantum market, they're one of the most innovative markets in the world, and they're going to most likely be some of what drives the computational power that's required for the AI boom, whether it's robotics or data centers or using cloud computing. When it comes to quantum, they are allowing a lot of the computations to be solved much faster with less energy used. And that's exactly what we're looking at. QBTS was one that we saw more contracts with government, more contracts with commercial like MasterCard, Boeing, and Ford Odyssey manufacturing. That was more promising. Out of all of them, that's the one that's actually catching my attention because of the commercial usage, as well as Rigetti, even though they've had some not so good earnings recently. Those are what we're watching. Of course, you got IBM, you got NVIDIA. If you're going long on those, those are the quantum companies for the long term. But when it comes to some of the explosive short-term ones, we'll be watching these closely. We'll see if any opportunities present themselves tomorrow at Market Open. And again, if you guys want to watch me trade live at Market Open tomorrow, we'll be there at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All you have to do is simply take a look at that second link in the description to join us there. And we got the limited reopening. It's a VIP reopen of the lifetime access at the price that it's at. After this, lifetime access will be going away at its current price. So if you want to be there tomorrow morning, would love to have you there. It's that second link in the description to watch me trade live each and every day. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. Smash it. Really do appreciate it. And do consider subscribing. We're almost on the road to 100,000 subscribers. Appreciate you all. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.